And welcome back to Capitol Tonight. In the weeks following the tragic shooting in Tucson, Arizona, there was much talk about banning these high-capacity magazines that allow someone to shoot 30 bullets instead of 10. The suspected shooter, Jared Lee Loughner, was using one of these magazines when he opened fire, killing 6 and wounding a dozen others. My next guests have been leading a fight against these magazines. Congresswoman Karen McCarthy is joining us from Long Island tonight. She has sponsored a bill that would ban these magazines. And then joining us from New York is Senator Eric Adams. He recently went undercover, actually, and he was able to buy 2 of these 30-round magazines in New York, even though there's a ban on them. I want to thank you very much for joining me tonight, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator, I'd like to start with you. Actually, you were undercover. There was a hidden camera, and you managed to purchase things that were actually supposedly banned in New York since 1994. Is that correct?
Yes, but it needs to be corrected. First, I want to really thank the Congresswoman for what she has done over the years, and I'm so happy to be in government to have a partner in dealing with these issues, not only on the state level, but the federal level. What happened is in New York State, there was a ban on the 30-round magazines as long as they were manufactured prior to 1994, one could sell or possess them.
Right.
That was, to me, that's a loophole in the law. When you go into the stores, you will notice that on the magazines, there are no indicators on when they were manufactured. One store had a plastic bag that stated it was manufactured at a certain period. Another store did not have a plastic bag at all. And the third store was a clear bag. And so we don't know when these magazines are actually manufactured, but I am stating, regardless of when they manufactured, no civilian should have the readily accessibility of bullets more than our average patrol officer, which in the New York City Police Department's concern, they only carry 16 rounds on patrol. So why would someone be able to carry or possess 30 rounds in their firearm?
Right, and you actually have firsthand knowledge of this because you used to be a police officer, is that right?
No, without a doubt, and there's no greater fear for a law enforcement officer to discharge his weapon, have his weapon empty, and the person who he's attempting to apprehend or protect the public from has 15 more rounds to discharge their weapon. Right. And it is when an individual runs out of their weapon or their bullets that they have to reload. That's the window of opportunity that you could apprehend this person, but we're giving him an extended period of time over our law enforcement officers. That's unacceptable during today's times.
And that's actually exactly what happened in Arizona, was that when Jared Loughner stopped to reload, somebody actually managed to tackle him, if I'm not mistaken. Congresswoman, I'd like to bring you into this. You have proposed this ban. You and I have spoken about this on the show. And I understand that you support what the senator is doing in New York. And do you think it would be a first step towards maybe trying to pressure getting something done at the federal level?
Well, he's actually the senator, and by the way, thank you for doing what you're doing and going undercover, because exactly what he has done here in New York State, as the senator had said, they're already banned. But they're still in our stores being able to sell them because we can't prove it. And that's the loophole in the federal level also. So what he has proven is exactly, even though we have the law on the books here in New York, people still can buy them here in New York. And that's wrong. They should all be gone, in my opinion. So what he is doing on the state level is why I'm fighting on the federal level. So again, these particular magazines cannot come into our state and do bodily harm. One other side note, we've had more police officers killed this year than we usually do for the high numbers that we've had. And we're seeing more and more of these magazines being used to take down our police officers.
Yeah, and Senator, what do you think the prospect is for passage here? I mean, look, the bottom line is, and this is a problem certainly that I've discussed with the Congresswoman, the gun lobby is very strong. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. And this is not something that is supported by, for example, the NRA.
Well, I think that here's an opportunity for all the activists to really put the pressure and put their desire on our legislative body. The mayor of the city of New York has made it clear that he believes we must have stronger gun laws. He has a very close relationship with the Republican Senate. Here's his opportunity. When he says shame on you to Arizona, now it's shame on you to New York State. We have an opportunity now to send a strong message across the entire country that we will lead the way. We're the #1 target for terrorists. We should not allow a terrorist to walk inside a store with no identification. You don't need identification. You don't need anything to identify who you are, and purchase a chamber or purchase a magazine that will hold 30 rounds of bullets. That's unacceptable. And so I'm asking the mayor, I sent a letter to him, and I'm asking him to reach out to those members of the Republican conference in the Senate and demand that we bring this bill to the floor, vote this bill through so this can become a law and New York State can lead the way.
Congresswoman, what's the status of your bill to ban these high-capacity magazines at the federal level? Because you do have quite a few sponsors now, but in terms of the prospect of getting it to the floor and up for a vote.
Well, and I'm going to say to the senator, when they passed the assault weapons ban here in New York State, obviously the NRA was very involved in it. Governor Pataki was the governor at that particular time. But again, because New York State is such a progressive state, the Republicans turned around and did vote for it. Now, on the federal level, I'm still going with my plan. We are slowly bringing more and more members onto the piece of legislation. The other piece is that we have been going nationwide, and more groups are signing on to it. The Conference of Mayors, the Commissioner of Police Officers around the country, which have the largest amount of police officers in this country. And so we're seeing more and more people signing on to it. The American people, with the polls, are still showing that they feel that we should be doing something. That will put more pressure on the federal level. So I'm still confident that we can get this done. Everything in Washington is slow, the same sometimes as in Albany. But I'm sure the senator is going to be extremely persistent. The same, I'm going to be extremely persistent.
Senator Adams, when you purchased these magazines, did you purchase them upstate?
Yes, I did. It was in the Albany area, and there's several other gun stores in the upstate area that also sell these magazines. And I think it's important for the viewers to understand if a person has terrorist desires, and the threat is not only driving airplanes into buildings, but is also having a large amount of ammunition. If they have terrorist desires, they can walk into any of the gun stores that I visited, merely ask for the 30-round magazines. They don't have to show any identification. They can pay with cash or credit card, and they can walk out the store. That is a terrible scenario for us to put our police and law enforcement officers in front of. To allow individuals, you don't do background checks when you're buying magazines. You don't check if a person has a mental hygiene issue. There are no checks conducted at all. And we're allowing individuals to purchase this level of firepower, to hold 30 rounds of ammunition, almost twice the amount that a state trooper or police officer would carry. That's a frightening scenario in a post-9/11 era.
I just want to, before I let both of you go, I'd just like to turn to the Congresswoman for a moment. We're having some news today that Jared Loughner, the shooter in the Arizona shooting that Gabby Giffords was gravely injured in, your colleague, he's been indicted on 49
Yes.
counts, actually, and this is on top of the 3 that he already faced. You know, this is a novel legal argument. Basically, the argument that's being made is because a congressional event was taking place, Congress on Your Corner, at this Safeway supermarket, it effectively turned the supermarket into Congress. Is that right?
No, it is right, because we as members of Congress or a senator have the protection of the federal government. So it wouldn't matter whether it was in the shopping center or whether it was I was doing a town hall meeting. Everyone around me, because I'm there, they would be considered, you know, under the protection of the federal government. So with that being said, I think it's a smart move on the federal government, mainly because of the attorney generals, mainly because all the other citizens around will be prosecuted under federal law.
Well, I want to, because it turns essentially this Safeway into protected federal ground, which has a higher status than just sort of your average supermarket. I want to thank both of you for joining me. Senator Eric Adams from Brooklyn, thank you very much. You're joining us from Manhattan and New York One Studios. And then Congresswoman McCarthy, thank you so much for joining us from Long Island. I appreciate both of you and your time.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you taking the time to report on something like this.
It's my pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Congresswoman. Take care.
Thank you, Senator, for doing your job.
Thank you.